Welcome to Always Authors, the literary podcast that presents two authors in candid conversation. On this episode, we are proud to present Kerri Maher and Annie Hartnett. Kerri is the USA Today and internationally best-selling author of The Paris Bookseller, All You Have to Do Is Call, The Girl in the White Gloves, and The Kennedy Debutante. Her most recent novel, Summer of Love, was just released. Annie is the award-winning author of three novels, Rabbit Cake, Unlikely Animals, and her latest book, The Road to Tender Hearts, which won the 2025 New England Book Award for Fiction. Listen in as they discuss their writing process, the magic of doing the artist's way, and bowling nights with fellow writers. You'll also discover which one of them was booed on her wedding day. Inspiration starts now.
Hello, Annie.
Hi, Kerri. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Thank you for coming on this podcast with me. I'm so excited to chat with you.
I'm so excited to talk to you. Congrats on the new book. Just
Yes,
came out, as of today, 2 days ago.
I know. It's the big week. And congratulations on all the success of The Road to Tender Hearts. It just came out in paperback. Is that right?
Came out in paperback in April.
In April. Wow. Time. That just feels like it just
I
happened.
know. I keep saying it's been out for a year, but now I'm like, oh, it's been out more than a year. But
Yeah. So we were actually just talking about how, in previous encounters with each other, and I was remembering you did an event at Newtonville Books, which is very close to where I live, with a fellow historical fiction author named Elise Hooper. And you were just saying how long ago that was.
Well, you said it was a couple years ago, and I was like, no, it wasn't, because my daughter is going to be 7 tomorrow.
Oh, happy birthday to her.
Yeah, I'm super excited for she just lost her first tooth yesterday, which was very exciting.
That is exciting.
So, and I know that Leora, my daughter, was not born yet because Elise gave me a Border Collie onesie, like a printed with Border Collies on it. I have Border Collies. And it's like one of the only pieces of clothing from her babyhood that I've kept.
Aww.
So I know that I must have been, I was pregnant. You don't just give baby clothes to people.
No.
For no reason.
Correct.
And I don't think she would have been born, although I did do events. I officiated a wedding when she was 7 weeks old. So, I might have done it when she was born, but it's more likely that I was pregnant and she gave it to me. So how do you know Elise?
So Elise, The Magic of the Internet. So her first novel, The Other Alcott, came out maybe a year before my first historical, which was
2017.
The Kennedy Debutante. So, okay.
That's
because that's
how I know her. Yeah.
Were you part of the same
Facebook
publication
group?
year group?
Yes.
Okay.
So did you join the next year?
So, no. Somehow or another, that I know of these groups. Somehow or another, I never wound up on a group like this.
We were the first. But keep going, sorry.
Who ran it?
I don't know. I want to give credit to Kelly Garrett for starting it because she was such a powerhouse. So I feel like she probably did start it, and she's since written a lot of books. But it was a Facebook group that I think she started it. Maybe she did with another person. Facebook group called 2017 debut. I don't know. It was debut writers, and a lot of us joined, and I made a lot of real friends in it, and including Elise, who I see whenever I'm in Seattle. And also I think her name, I don't want to get it wrong, but Robin, is her name Robin Lee? The woman who wrote, she wrote the book that then became the Anne Hathaway movie that's about, having an affair with One Direction member.
Oh, that was a great movie. I did not I didn't read the book.
I read the book back in when it came out. I think she has a new book. Anyway. And then, so I knew her back then. She was an actress, so she was already the cool member of our group.
Yeah.
And then that movie is like the whole reason I have bangs now, which are kind of growing out. But I was like, that movie, I really want more movies about women having sexual revolutions in their 40s.
Yes, 100% more of that, please.
So I interrupted. You know
No.
Elise from online too.
I know Elise from Instagram. Basically, a year later, my book was coming out in 2018, The Kennedy Debutante. She read it, and she just DM'd me on Instagram and was like, I read your book and I really loved it. And, you know, we both write historical fiction. And I was like honored and tickled and, you know, the whole thing. And so when she came into town to do that event with you for her next book, which was about Georgia O'Keeffe, right? No, not
that
Georgia
was about
O'Keeffe.
the Fast Girls.
It was about, right, Fast Girls. She was in town.
was it
I
about
said, I'm
Georgia?
going to go
No.
see her. No, it was, this is now embarrassing, and I hope that they edit out this part.
Edit this part, yeah.
Anyway, it was for her next book, and I said, she's going to be in my home turf. I'm going to go see her, and it was a special treat. I got to see both of you, and it was like a really great conversation. You know, you had a really deep conversation about process and all that great stuff. So, and I thought it was an interesting pairing too, because, you know, she writes historical and you are a contemporary writer. So do you do a lot of like events with authors who are in other genres?
I like to do events generally, so I've done everybody. I'm doing Beatrice Williams tonight, which I'm super
Ooh.
intimidated about. She's so famous.
She's lovely.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm not really intimidated, but I just want to get it right. I always want to
Yeah.
get it right. But Newtonville Books, and so I was already friends with Elise, and I used to work at Newtonville Books. So,
that's right.
Yeah, so so a Newtonville Books event is just me going back to my literal hometown and my actual like safe place. So I don't know if she asked me or the bookstore asked me, or we just figured it out together, or I was like, come to Newton. But she's a New England writer too, even though she lives in Seattle now.
Right. Yes, that's right. So did you grow up in Newton?
I did grow up in Newton, yeah.
Oh, did you like go to the Newton schools and all of
I
that?
went to, everyone knows people from Newton. I went
Newton's
to Newton
huge.
North. Yeah.
Yeah, Newton North. That's right. Yeah. So for listeners, I live like 10 minutes away from Newton in a neighboring town called Weston. These are all Boston suburbs.
Yeah.
And now you're further west in Massachusetts.
No, I'm south.
No? South.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I live just above New Bedford in a small town.
Okay.
And
okay.
you live in Weston. Okay, I didn't know
I
that.
live
For
in
some
Weston.
reason, I thought you were north of the city.
Yeah, that's
Or
right.
is Weston north of the city?
No, it's like due west. It's like just past Newton.
Okay, that's probably why they called it Weston.
You know, that's probably a good point. There's so many W towns, though. It just gets lumped in with all the W towns, like Wayland, Wellesley, Weston, Winchester.
Which just made an appearance in the Ann Patchett book. Winchester.
Oh, I am the last person on earth to read Whistler, so it's on my TBR.
It's been out for like 3 weeks. So
I'm still the last person on earth to have read it.
So this is your 5th book.
It is my
true?
5th book. Yeah, my 5th historical, but it is actually the 10th book that I've written. This is like something. Yeah. So, well, I will ask you a similar question. So, before the Kennedy Debutante sold, I had written 5 novels that never sold. They got me different things along the writing path. Like my first novel that I wrote right out of college got me into graduate school, where I decided to abandon it. And I wrote 2 young adult novels, one of which was a paranormal. I wrote a mystery novel, which showed me that I am not a mystery novelist. That is not my genre. And I wrote a romance novel. So I'm not one of those writers who spends a lot of time on like one book. Like the time that I spent working on all of these different books, another type of writer might have spent on 1 or 2 books, like just tinkering away at it over time. I would have absolutely burned it. Like I'm not a writer who can do that. What about you? Do you, like with your first book, was that the first book that you had written? Had you written books before?
Yeah, I am the other type of writer, which is like once I have an idea, I cannot quit on it because so I will do anything to make it work. So I went through like hundreds of drafts of Rabbit Cake to make it work. Okay. It was the first novel I tried to write, and it was just like I did not give up on it. So, and thankfully my agent didn't give up on it either, because it took a year and a half to sell. Wow. And we did 3 rounds and edited it in between. And even when, I don't think I've ever talked about this before, but it's not a secret, even when Tin House, the publisher that eventually wanted to buy it, they would not buy it. They did not offer until I had edited it, which I have not heard of ever happening.
So they came to you and said, can you please make these changes? And then
if you do not make these changes, we cannot buy it. Which actually had we had, yeah, I had kind of had another similar offer with another publisher that came to me with the ideas, and they were like, they wanted to make it a young adult book, and which I was open to, except they wanted to make it a murder mystery, and for people who have read that book, like, that's not the point. So I walked away from that, even though I had nothing else. And then finally, the Tin House editor, Maisie, is just incredible, and her ideas were great, but she was like, you have to cut these 3 characters.
Wow.
You have to cut this really bloody scene in the beginning.
Could you at least move the scene?
No, she wanted it. I mean, she like found it like offensive.
Okay.
Which my agent loved, and she was like, I'm not sure you should cut that scene. That's my favorite scene. So we always joke about the scene of a girl she kills chickens in her sleep is the
oh my God,
was what happened. So
yeah, well, she is this like sleep. She does all kinds of interesting things in her sleep. I haven't I haven't finished Rabbit Cake, so I can't. The first novel of yours that I read was The Road to Tender Hearts, and I just absolutely fell in love with it. But I want to stay with this beginning business. So how long did you?
Career, yeah.
So I had one of the young adult novels, the one that had a paranormal element. I had a real heartbreak situation. I had an editor ask me for a revision, but it was a non-contractual revision. There was no promise of publication, but I did it. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I did it, and then she said no. It was horrible for me. But a learning experience.
I had 2 revise and resubmits too, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. This was 10 years ago, so I've forgotten. But and neither one of those worked out. Yeah.
So how long did you spend with Rabbit Cake before the yes?
I started it in graduate school. So I worked on it for like my final year of graduate school, and then I had a fellowship at the Boston Public Library where I finished the book. And I got an agent that year, and then I think we edited for another year and a half before it sold.
Okay.
So like, it probably at the end of the day took me like 3 to 4 years, which isn't really actually that bad in the scheme of things.
No, it isn't that bad in the scheme of things. I spent, I think, about that amount of time with the Kennedy debutante that wound up being my debut novel. Yeah. But one of the reasons I love the Virginia Evans story, who wrote The Correspondent, is that I think The Correspondent was her 6th or 7th written novel, and that, she had a similar trajectory to the one I had. And I just think that the more people who hear those stories and know that, like, the path looks different for all people. It could look like yours, where there are many, many, many revisions, many rounds of submission, or it could look like mine, where there's just a lot of no, and then also some breadcrumbs until there's a yes. So
it's never. I just interviewed my former student Julie Gerstenblatt, who wrote.
I do know Julie. Yes.
Yeah. She's another historical fiction writer.
Yep. The Stargazer of Nantucket is her book that just came out.
Yes, good memory. So the new book is The Stargazer of Nantucket, and she told a story that was similar about writing several books, like Losing Agents, and everyone in the crowd, there were people who were like her friends who were like, what an incredible story. And I was like, this is the ordinary story. Everybody has a story. Like, it's about people that don't quit that
Yes.
get books.
Yes. I assume you get asked in interviews all the time, what's your advice for aspiring writers? And my advice is just keep swimming. It's the Dory from Finding Nemo advice.
Yeah.
Just keep swimming. And whatever that looks like for you, whether that means starting a new project or continuing to work on the one you're currently working on.
So how do you know when to quit on something?
So it's a good question. And I want you to answer this question too, if there's ever a book that you've quit on yet. It just doesn't feel right. Like there are, like that very first novel that I wrote out of college, I worked on that for a long time. I got a lot of reads. I did a bunch of revisions. I tried getting an agent with it. And it just had some issues that I did not know how to fix. And it may have been because I was too young and at the beginning of my career. I am not planning on dragging it out of the attic and dusting it off and trying and looking at it again. But I just looked at it and I was like, I don't even want to work on this anymore. Like, I'm ready to work on the next thing. And that's sort of the way it's been for me. With those 5 unpublished books, the mystery novel actually did get me an agent, and it was submitted. She did many rounds of submission, and it was we finally had a hard conversation and decided to shelve it. So that was hard in a different way. I actually just wrote a draft of a novel, which hopefully will still be my 6th novel. And the first draft just didn't work. Like I felt it while I was writing it, and I was like, this isn't quite hanging together right, but I made myself persevere, and I'm glad I did, because once I got to the end, I was like, now I sort of understood why it wasn't working. So when I went back and started at word 1 again, I had a clearer understanding of what it was I needed to do. And I've been able to like import scenes here and there. I'm not done with the second draft yet, but I'm working on it. What about you?
Do you feel like more of are you a first draft person? Is that where the pleasure is? Or are you a revision person?
I like both in very different ways. I like the security of having all the words.
Yeah.
And in the drafting stage, I love getting to 50,000 words, because then I'm like, okay, this is now feeling more like a book.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I like both for different reasons. I like the drafting stage because it's just me and the book, and no one has said anything about it yet, and it's more private, I guess. And then once I start getting comments and revision, it's much harder in a lot of ways, and I get super frustrated. But there's also, I take a lot of pleasure in like when things sort of click. Like I'm like, oh, okay, that's what I need to do here. That's what I need to do there. And this ties back to this other thing. Mm-hmm. I can see some of that in the drafting stage, but I can see much more of it in the revising. What about you?
Yeah, I'm a revision person. That's why, like, once I have a first draft, I think I start a lot of little projects. Mm-hmm. Like, when I'm at the beginning of a project, I write a lot of different directions. But once I have a first draft, like, that's my happy place, is when I can just, like, really work on it. And that's when I do not quit. And that's when, even when I'm like, I'm miserable, and like I just feel like it's like smashing my face against concrete. And my husband says to me, like,
why are you doing this to yourself?
Oh no, that's not what he says.
What does he say?
He threatened to divorce me if I quit writing.
Oh, okay.
The only time that Drew, so we've been married for like 11 years almost, and the only time we ever had any conversation about breaking up or getting divorced was when I said, I don't want to write anymore, I think it's too hard. And he said, then I want a divorce. And we were in the TSA line getting on a flight home. It was right after Rabbit Cake had come out, and I just burst into tears and had to walk through TSA, like sobbing, and he was serious. He was like, "This is like that's not the person I married." So
Wow.
it was a, I guess, so now I write with a gun to my head because otherwise my marriage.
Okay, but you said it after your first book had come out. So what
that was
precipitated...
the darkest place.
Okay, so tell me more about that. I want to know about the dark place, Annie.
I'm curious, did you not go into a Great Depression after your first book came out? Or did you just...
No.
Didn't?
Well, I'll tell... No, but there were lots of reasons for that. I want to know... I've had other dark places. Tell me about this dark place, and I'll tell you about mine.
Yeah, so after Rabbit Cake came out, it doesn't quite make sense in a lot of ways. Or in some ways it makes perfect sense. So the book came out, it was really well received for a book that had not, had took a year and a half to sell and almost didn't sell, but it, the edits were great. The voice of that character was always great. And so, yeah, the reviews were like all starred. It was like People Magazine's book of the week, like your dreams come true, right? But I've never been more depressed. My dog had died, and that dog was my best friend, and was also I adopted this dog when I was in graduate school, and he had really terrible separation anxiety. And so I was like, no problem. I was 25 when I adopted him. I was like, no problem. I will just change my entire life to accommodate you. So I just took the dog everywhere with me. And so he didn't have separation anxiety anymore because we were never apart. Like, I took him to every party I went to. I took him to class. How did you manage? Did you have a day job or anything? Like, what did you do?
So
I got a day job after I got a day job. I got an office job after the MFA, and in the interview, I knew I was like nailing the interview, and I was like, "Can I bring my dog to work?" And my boss was so wonderful, and she was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I just brought him to work with me. So we had 5 years together. Oh my God, I can just go on talking about my dead dog forever. We had 5 years together, and I thought I was accommodating his separation anxiety, but I didn't realize until he died suddenly of cancer that I had an emotional support dog. So when he died, I was like a mess because I had a constant companion for 5 years.
Oh, Annie.
So it was awful. And so he died and the book came out. Everything should have been good. But I didn't know how to do it again and to write again. And I think that is common for people, like maybe not, your dog dies, but, I think it's hard for people to read about what people think about their writing on the internet.
Yeah.
I think it's hard for people to take something that has been private and make it public. Even I don't know how memoir is to it, but so anyway, I had to, and there was one negative review about Rabbit Cake it was actually like pretty positive. Like it was like a lukewarm review, but
like a trade review.
Yeah, in a Minneapolis newspaper. And it said, in some ways Hartnett is like Karen Russell, and in other ways she veers toward the silly. And that shut me down because I was like, that's true. Like, we do have similarities, but Karen Russell's Karen Russell and I'm not. And I am silly. I've always been a silly person. And so I ended up, and this is off the wall right now because we're doing so I ended up ordering this plaque. So it says, it'll be backwards, but it says veer toward the silly.
Oh, I love that you embraced it.
Yeah. So that's why my books got so much sillier after that.
You're just
like probably the silliest.
You were just like, middle finger to you. I'm just going to lean into it.
Yeah. So that's what freed me up. But Drew threatening to divorce me was like, he wanted me to snap out of the depression that I was in.
Did it work?
It honestly did. I mean, it was like some serious tough love, and I had like tried to break up with this guy before when we were not married, and he would always be like, no, only because I had like baggage from a previous relationship. Anyway,
Wow.
that was a long
I'm so
side
sorry.
story about.
So, well, I was actually gonna. One of my things I wanted to talk to you about was pets, because in the Road to Tender Hearts, you've got Pancakes, the cat. Do you have cats now? What pets are in your life now?
I have 2 dogs, both, well, I have a mutt and I have a border collie, a mutt that looks like a border collie. So I have
Okay.
Willie Nelson and Minnie Mouse. Minnie Mouse is a new member of the family. She's 7 months old. I got her because I was going to get a cat. And I didn't get
Okay.
approved for the cat I wanted. So I was just, and it happened to me a couple of times where I'd get approved, but I didn't get approved for the cat. I've never had a cat. My dad's super allergic. So I think, like, you know, they want to give to people who have had cats before,
Yeah.
who maybe have, and I don't know, my older dog has never seen a cat. But this weekend, Willie is going to be babysat by somebody. Willie and Minnie are both being babysat by somebody who has a cat. So we
Okay.
are cat testing them because I would like to get a cat. If it doesn't work
Okay.
out, he's just going to sleep here. But anyway.
So, did you grow up with cats? Like, why a cat in Tender Hearts?
So Pancakes the cat in Tender Hearts is based on a real cat who predicted death at a nursing home in Providence, Rhode Island, which is where I used to live. And so it had to be a cat who could predict death. You can't have a golden retriever who predicts death. Although that's very funny. But so do you have cats? Do you have cats and dogs?
No. So I come from dog people. I wanted a cat very badly when I was in like third, fourth, fifth grade. My parents were like, no. we had a Springer Spaniel, who I loved. I loved the Springer Spaniel, and then my parents proceeded to have 2 more Springer Spaniels in my life. So my own dog is lying at my feet right now.
No.
He also has real separation anxiety. I cannot take him everywhere, because he's also kind of a spaz, and he's become more of a spaz in his middle age. So, I mean, by spaz, I just mean he has a few unpredictable behaviors, and I just wouldn't feel right about bringing him everywhere with me.
What type of dog is he?
He's a Labradoodle.
Oh, okay.
I have spoken to many other Labradoodle owners, and it sounds like many of them are head cases.
Yeah.
I used to think that people whose dogs were on Prozac needed Prozac themselves, and now I understand what a dog who needs an SSRI looks like, because I do in fact have one. And the medication helps. He's on a whole bunch of medications actually, but it does help him. And I am able to leave the house. And he's able to be relatively chill. I've got a little dog camera. But I do hire like a lot of dog sitters because I don't want him to be alone for too long. It just anyway. So I don't think I will ever have a cat, is my guess. Also, so many people are allergic to cats.
I know. That is my thing. That is, my dad is very allergic to cats. And, but my brother got a cat first. So so I was like,
is your dad able to take a Zyrtec and go over there?
Yeah, I mean, at first he wouldn't take it because he's just a man who just doesn't listen to science. But I think now he's taking Claritin or Zyrtec when he goes over there. But yeah, growing up, my neighbors across the street had a cat that I was obsessed with named Phoebe, and I used to take care of Phoebe whenever they went away, and Phoebe was an outdoor cat too, which now nobody does.
Well, I mean, because the cat will just bring in poison ivy in this part of the world. I mean,
I think it's because cats get hit by a car and eaten by coyotes.
Well, I mean, there's that. There's yes, and then there's the annoying aspects of it. Although they are good. I've always said if I had really like a mouse problem, I would get a cat. Although my dog would not tolerate a cat, so there's no.
Yeah, I would love to have a cat. I hope to get a cat. Right now, all I have is like cat figurines that people give me.
Aw. So basically, you read about this cat that could predict death, and you were like, I'm going to use that.
I just thought it was so good. Yeah, I mean, that happens to me often where and I want to know about researching historical fiction, because I will hear about things like, my favorite sentences in the world is, "Can you believe this really happened?" So anytime that I see something that I'm like, that is so weird and I can't believe that that's real, I like put it in the bank.
Yeah.
So a lot of it does, like, I don't really write about my real life in a lot of ways, and in other ways I am always writing about it like slant. So with historical fiction, how do you go searching for the story? Does the story find you?
So this is a really interesting question. With Summer of Love, it's very different from my previous 4 because it came from me as opposed to coming to me. And so my first 4 historical novels were in some way linked to a real story of real people that I stumbled upon in one way or another.
Yeah.
You know, one was like listening to an NPR news story. That's how I discovered the Jane Collective, which was like, you know, so my last book, All You Have to Do Is Call, is loosely based on the real life women of the Jane Collective, who ran this underground abortion clinic in Chicago in the years before Roe. And I, you know, when I heard that story, I was like, I must write about them.
And you heard that story like on
an
radio?
NPR? Yes.
Yeah, it's always the radio.
I was like driving to meet a friend at the West Newton Cinema to see a movie. And I was like, they did what? Like, you know, it was a little bit like what you just said about putting the great story in the bank. Like, I just knew. And I was shocked that no other novelist had tackled them before.
That's so lucky, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so the first 4 novels were like that. Like those stories came to me. So with Summer of Love, I was sort of casting about a little bit for my next book, and like I was very fortunate. My publisher wanted me for another book, and so but that meant we had to agree on the subject. And so I knew that I wanted it to be set in California, which is where I'm from. I knew that I wanted there to be a road trip element, and I knew that I wanted there to be like an addiction recovery storyline. But that's sort of all I knew. I didn't have the characters yet. I didn't have the story. I didn't have any of that. I think I knew that there was some of it was going to be set in the 60s, because California in the 60s, even though I was born in 1975, my parents met at UC Berkeley in the 1960s, and so I really grew up with tons of stories about that place and time. So I those are the things that I knew, but I didn't understand how any of them went together. And like a friend of mine said to me, "Kerri, you really need to do The Artist's Way." Have you ever done The Artist's Way?
I haven't. The person who runs, my co-teacher at the accountability workshops, which is our workshop business that's kind of anti-workshop. It's a community of accountability for writers. She does it with the accountability workshop every year, but I've never done it because regularity is not my thing.
Okay, well, so journaling was not my thing, and I knew that like the foundation of The Artist's Way is this practice called morning pages, which is a morning journaling practice. And I was just like, but I was like desperate. I was like, I'll try anything at this point. So I did, and I did the whole 12 weeks, and I did the morning pages, and within like 4, 5, 6 weeks, I had the whole story of Summer of Love came to me. So it does work, people. The magic of The Artist's Way does work.
Yeah, everyone in the accountability workshop loves it who does it. It really changes people's lives.
Yeah. So that's the story of how Summer of Love came to be.
It is true that like I wouldn't really call that book historical fiction.
Yeah, so I'm curious to know why you wouldn't. Is it because of the 2015 storyline?
Well, yeah, I mean, it just, I guess I mean, all of those categories are sometimes murky to me,
yes,
but it's like,
that's true.
It doesn't, it feels more like it's a set in a real time and place, but,
well, I appreciate that. I mean, I think because it's California and because the time, the historical period it's set in is a period I feel in some ways like I lived through, by proxy. That's great. I'm glad it feels like alive in that way. So I mean, I would, I would love to be able to write a true contemporary. Maybe someday we'll do that. But I also love historical fiction. So,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever tried to write in another genre. Once you've had some success in one genre, people really want you, the professional people really want you to stay in that lane. But I mean, you're in an amazing lane. You're in the like sort of quirky contemporary fiction lane, and you're hitting it out of the park.
Oh, well, I mean, I just write my sense of humor, which is, I wouldn't know. When I stumbled for my last book, for Unlikely Animals, I did find like an amazing historical fiction idea, but I had to make it work for me, because that book does have a real person from history in it, but I had to make him a ghost in order for it to work for me, because I feel so rooted in this time period. Although I usually set the last 2 books I have put in 2014 very intentionally because iPhones worked like they work now. But it was, pre-Trump. It was like...
Oh, so you don't have to deal with COVID and all the rest of that stuff.
COVID, yeah. Those things that are just, like, not that fun to write about. So it's weird to have nostalgia for 2014, but it does seem like a simpler time when we had iPhones.
I'm not even sure I was aware that Tender Hearts was taking place. I don't remember that being something
it is only
really
mentioned
noticed.
like twice. My agent never likes me to mention the actual year. It's mentioned in Unlikely Animals was originally actually set later, but then I sold the book right before COVID happened.
When did it come out? Did it come out?
It came out in 2022. So I really wanted originally some of the gravestones to be like recent. So the book is told from the perspective of a graveyard, and you see everybody's gravestone headstone like is part of their name, is the date in it. So yeah, that book came out because I screwed up the edits so bad, because I was like, how do I write a quirky book about death when it seems like when it sold in February 2020. So I was like, it's very hard to be funny right now about
death.
Like, speaking my lane is like writing funny stuff about death, and it just didn't. And I have abandoned, I guess I did abandon a book, but I do intend to write it again at some point. I was writing a book that was set on a cruise ship, and that was like going to be my next book instead of Tender Hearts. Oh, and I had a memoir that didn't sell. Yeah, I mean, I've had failed projects. I am such an optimist that I like forget about
That's good.
boys who rejected me or or projects that didn't work. Yeah, I wrote a memoir that was 75 pages, and I tried to sell it, and they were like, and it was about parenting, and the publisher was like, this is funny, but it's way too dark. I was like, welcome to my life right now.
Written it pretty recently then,
I wrote it before Tender Hearts, so it was like it didn't sell, and then I was like turned around and put all those feelings in Tender Hearts instead. So it's like, one of those things that, thank God it didn't work out, because then I would have had to write that instead of the book that I think I'm way more proud of and is more my thing. I didn't really I don't know if I really actually want to be a memoirist. I think it's speaking of like being depressed after your book's out, it's like your life is out there.
Yeah, it's like a vulnerability hangover.
Yeah.
That's so interesting though, because there is so much like found family and parenting with lowercase p in Tender Hearts, and it's interesting, and it's so moving. There aren't many books that I read that actually make me like cry in the car. Because I'm a huge audiobook listener, so basically all of my reading happens on audio, and a lot of it happens in the car.
Have you listened to I just finished your audiobook, which I thought was great. What did you listen yet?
So I have listened to tiny bits of it, So Lauren, though, I don't know if you listened to the conversation that she and I had at the end. So this is my third book with Lauren, my audiobook narrator, because she did the Paris Bookseller, and I started listening to that. I haven't listened to any of my audiobooks all the way through. I can't do that because no matter how good the audiobook is, but I dip in. Like, there are certain scenes that I always want to see how they're handled. And Lauren, I was like listening to the Paris Bookseller, and I was like, who wrote this book? Have you ever had that experience? Like, when you're listening to your own stuff, and like, when the audiobook narrator transforms your own work like that, like, you've found someone great, right?
Yeah.
So I requested her for my next two books, and she and I have gotten to be friends. Again, the magic of DMs on Instagram. Because I wrote her a DM, and I was just like, thank you for the amazing work you did on the Paris Bookseller. And so anyway, we've bonded, and so we did like a bonus material conversation at the end of Summer of Love.
I did mostly the audio, but I read the rest, so I didn't get to the end because I have the hardback too.
Yeah.
So I was like, you get to where you have like an hour left, and you're like, oh, I could finish this way faster than an hour.
That's right. Well, I'm a slow reader. Do you do a lot of audiobooks?
Yeah, I do a lot of audiobooks. I do a real mix, and I love to have both. Ideally, like I had both the Whistler hardback and the Whistler audiobook. So I will often buy both because I'm like sort of impatient.
Yeah. It's hard for me. I'm a slow reader. So most of my eyeball reading is work related. Like, I'm either blurbing somebody else's novel, which I thoroughly enjoy, or I'm reading for research purposes.
Yeah.
Because it's hard for me to listen. You can't listen to people you're blurbing. More's the pity. But it's actually nice to have that division in my life. Like, so like when I'm listening to an audiobook, I've chosen it. Like, no one has told me that I have to listen to it. It doesn't ever feel like homework. So it's just always such a joy to like listen to it.
You can put it into one of those software things where they read it to you.
Yeah, it's not the same as like a real actor reading your work.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So you've gotten to pick your audiobook narrators, I assume.
Yeah, we've had the same one for the past two books, Mark Bramhall. He's so incredible. Great. He's so good. Yeah. I think we have the same producer who sent
possibly
Orly,
yes.
Yeah,
I don't know if she does all of the Penguin Random House audiobooks. That would be a big job. Probably
not. No. She's super nice. I doubt she does. I don't think so. I think they have a million people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way she does them all. I mean,
no, that's
but
right.
She picked for Unlikely Animals. The main character of that book is a young woman. Mm-hmm. So she had given me the option of a woman, but I was like, actually, but she'd also given me some men. And she said, and so Mark Bramhall, the tension, as I mentioned, that book is so hard to explain to people who haven't read it, but it is narrated by the graveyard, but they're looking at and they're telling the story of a young woman, and her family. So it's kind of like Our Town, inspired by Our Town, and so I was like, it actually really should not be narrated by a woman because I want the tension between who's talking and who we're talking about.
Yep.
Who's narrating versus who's the main character. So and she had given me Mark Bramhall as an option for if I wanted a male narrator, and I was just like, he's so jaunty and he's awesome. So he did such a good job with a book that is definitely hard to do on audio. And then they asked me if I wanted him again for Tender Hearts, and like for Tender Hearts it was like even more an obvious fit because that book is about an older man.
Yep.
And the one question they asked me that I really appreciate is they asked me if he could do voices, which they hadn't done for Unlikely Animals for reasons like because it's a hard audiobook to read, it's confusing. It would be confusing. And so the voices he does in that book are incredible. I know, the kids so good.
And the women, I mean, he's just, he is, it's an excellent
a real talent.
read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, audiobook readers, I like appreciate them so much because just like, it's not, obviously not the same as like a movie adaptation, but it is similar. It's like, you're making a...
One of the things Lauren said in our conversation is that it's essentially like in her case, a one-woman show.
Yeah, it is.
It is like an interpretation of the books. I mean, she feels very strongly about being true to the work. So, but yeah, it's a one-person show, and it's a lot of recording. It's many, many hours. It's sort of amazing that they still have their voices left at the end of the week.
Yeah, I think there's like tricks that they...
I'm sure that there is. Yeah. I think we are close to our time, but I mean, you and I could continue talking for a long time.
Well, tell me about the bowling first. You've been inviting me to this bowling, and I want to hear about it and who goes and what's it like. And
oh, I know. Okay, so for people listening, we said this already. I live in the Boston area, and so I don't know, like 2 years ago, with my friend Greer McAllister, who writes she writes fantasy and historical fiction. She and I were taking a walk with our dogs one day, and we were like, we got to find some way to like get the local writers together regularly. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what about bowling? And part of the reason I thought about bowling is there's this really cool old school Candlepin bowling alley that has amazing pizza in Somerville called Sacco's Bowl Haven. Surely you've been in your time.
No, I haven't.
No? Oh my gosh.
I have. When I was a kid, I hated bowling.
Okay, well, none of us, for what it's worth, it's a bowling optional night. It's a bowling optional.
I've recently like come around on bowling with my kid. I've now gone maybe just one time, but it was fun. So
yeah. So long story short, we basically sent out an evite to all the local women. It's a local women's bowling night, writer bowling night. And we just sent it to everyone we knew, and the list has grown over time. It is completely inclusive. We always say, forward this to anyone who might be interested. And so there's sort of a core group of us who show up every time. Me and Greer and Ginny Pye and Liz Mikulski come. I mean, this is embarrassing. I'm not going to be able to like remember everybody. Crystal comes. Jenny Brown comes. Like there's a solid cohort that comes most times, and then, Marjan Kamali has come a couple of times. Mm-hmm. Julie Carrick Dawson has come a couple of times.
I know those two of them.
Yeah, so it's a mix, and Catherine Howe like 3 times has been like, I'm coming this time. And she just, for some reason, the farther away people live, obviously, the more challenging it becomes for people.
Yeah, it would be over an hour for me. So I'm like, I think it's unrealistic for me to say that.
Especially because you have a young kid, too.
Yeah, and I'm away so much for Toro that it's like stretch for me to be. Although my husband is, other than threatening to divorce me that one time, he is always...
Well, if he's gonna threaten to divorce you if you stop being a writer, he's got to be all in on supporting you on all the writing related stuff, right? So, well, if you could make it one of these days, everyone would absolutely love to see you.
Thanks. So. That it's very cool. I'm really glad you're doing that. It's such a sweet, like, sort of low pressure, because so many things that we have, get to do with each other is like writing related, an event. But it's nice to just an event where someone's interviewing somebody, or it's nice that there's just a way to socialize without no pressure.
Yeah. So and one of the things that's nice about it being in a bowling lane is that it kind of winds up having the cocktail party format, because you can stand and like people can walk around, so you're not sitting at like a dinner table. That was part of my thinking, and it does work out that way. So
right, because if you have a dinner, you only talk to the people that are sitting next to you. Yeah. So you miss out on. Yeah, bowling my kids' school had like a fundraiser this year, so that was
a Candlepin, because that's so New England.
It was not Candlepin, which had been the only kind of bowling I had done before.
Right,
and I actually,
of course.
Yeah, because I grew up, in New England. but I love the big balls. That was.
You're like betraying your heritage, Annie.
Oh,
Most
know,
New Englanders are like Candlepin is the only bowling, just like the Red Sox are the only baseball team.
I got booed at my own wedding because I forsake the New England Patriots and pledged allegiance to the Seattle Seahawks. So in my own wedding vows, the crowd was like, boo.
Is this because your husband is a Seahawks guy?
Yeah, he's from Seattle, so which is why I get to see Elise, just to return to the beginning of the conversation.
All right,
sometimes
full
you
circle.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me here today,
Thank you.
Annie.
Congrats on Summer of Love. I can't believe you've written 5 books. That's so impressive.
You'll be here before you know it. Your Tender Hearts was number 3, right?
Number 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it doesn't kill me.
That's right. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to kill you.
Sometimes.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Please visit alwaysauthors.com to learn about our other episodes. Always Authors is an exclusive production of Atomic Focus Entertainment.